Hi, I'm Doug with Show-Rite, and this is Ben Boble, one of our influentials, here to talk to you today about farrowing. Farrowing show pig sows can be tumultuous at best. So Ben, what do you guys do at Boble Farms that leads you to a successful parturition?
Got a great wife, Doug. No, but in all seriousness, I think having a plan is the key to success when it comes to farrowing show pig sows from our perspective. And I guess the first thing I would touch on is have a vaccination program. We use a vet from that perspective when we lean on him for his guidance and expertise. And I think you just can't think about vaccinating sows when they go to the crate because you're already behind, right? So I think vaccinating whatever your vet recommends from that perspective and that protocol is where you need to kind of start to have a very successful farrowing season. And I think another thing that I would mention in terms of planning is, we all want to look at a front pasture kind of sow, whatever you have from a sow housing standpoint. But man, I think keeping those sows in a very working type of condition is key to having farrowing success, and especially when it comes to farrowing the first litter gilts. You get show gilts back, and in this day and age we live in, we've got to get them too fat to show them and to be successful. So getting those gilts home, putting them on a limited amount of sow feed, I think is a key to getting them in condition to breed and farrow.
100%. We've been utilizing Blueprint sow for 4 or 5 years now, and that diet and the trace minerals and the organic trace minerals that are in that have been vital to maintaining the correct internal body fat, keeping them from getting over conditioned, the flexibility to kind of manage that condition in those gestation and lactation diets, I think is really, really important. And just limit that intake. When you're using that gestation diet, and don't get them in the crate too early, right? I know a lot of people will say, "Hey, we're 5 days, 10 days out," and they put them in there, then they start them right on lactation feed, right? Or I've seen people who just use gestation feed the whole time because maybe that's all they can do, or maybe that's what's available to them. I think being able to ramp up and use a higher protein, higher lysine lactation diet, for after she farrows can be very, very pivotal. We talk about preparation, and maybe one of the biggest things that I saw change for us, and this was before I worked for Show-Rite, was utilizing what our vet told us was through all the vaccine protocols, but also using TransRite Sow Ultra. How have you seen that work for you guys?
Yeah, and we've used TransRite for several years before I joined the Show-Rite team. And what I've seen is the ability for a sow to farrow faster. Our number of stillborns, and I should have it documented. I don't. My wife could probably tell me those numbers, but our number of stillborns has dramatically decreased, which you and I both know that could be the one, right? Yeah. So just the amount of live pigs we've had and the farrowing window has become from too long to a more consistent time with TransRite, and I wouldn't farrow a sow without it, to be honest with you.
We can't. We have changed our program at home, where we move sows, when we bring them in, so that sow can have 3 days of TransRite before she farrows. Now, I understand that's 3 days before her due date, but so she might go 2 days over, right? So she might have it. There is no harm in having it for 3 to 5 days in her diet once a day. But one of the single best things we do is give that sow TransRite, and we have tracked her farrowing time from when they start to when they've done, and on average, that sow will do an hour, 2, 3 hours. I mean, they're all different because of genetics, right? But every sow will do it faster when she's on TransRite than when she's off.
Yeah. I think a product that we use at home, and I know you do as well, Doug, is Secosorb. And, I've used it in a lot of different ways. Maybe walk us through how you use it, your operation, and how it works for you.
We probably overuse it a little bit because we enjoy it, we like it. It's an ineffective or a cost-effective way to provide a clean, dry environment for that pig to come into. But Secosorb is a drying powder that we cover the entire crate. Anywhere that piglet can get to when they're born is covered with Secosorb. That mat behind the sow, things like that. what it does is protecting that umbilical cord, drying it up, keeping contaminants, disease, viruses from getting into the pig that way. There's blood. There's a lot of stuff going on when you're farrowing a sow, right? Using Secosorb to dry that pig, get that pig started. They can consume one. We cover that pig if we're having an attended farrowing where someone's kind of seeing the pig come out.
Me too.
We cover that pig in Secosorb. It is, in my opinion, the best drying agent on the market. If you're not using a drying agent, use Secosorb. If you're not using a drying agent, use any drying agent to provide that clean, dry environment for the pig to come into.
And something else we use Secosorb to do, and I don't know if it's even on the label or if it's even things we should talk about, but anytime we have a litter of pigs that gets a little loose in the crate or in the nursery, I take a cup and throw it on the mat, or I throw on the pigs in the nursery, and I've seen amazing results. And I don't know that it's labeled for that, but it's something about that drying agent that helps those pig stools get right again. And I don't know if it's just the properties it has. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Yep.
But anytime it's something that my wife and I do, if there's a litter of pigs that gets loose, your first fear is it's going to spread. But man, if you catch it right away and just instead of injecting them or giving them type of medication, it seems to naturally just stop that.
I know it's not on the label because it's a hard thing to prove.
Yep.
But utilizing that, we'll do it in the show barn, so much in the nursery, so much in that crate. You get that scour, that looseness.
Yep.
Man, you can really stop it in its tracks with Secosorb. Talk about, we all have different ways we creep, right? Some people don't creep. Some people start right away with creep. What do you guys use at home, or how often, or when do you start?
Yeah, so we generally speaking, if we're going to wean at 21 days, which is where we try and wean all our sows, we'll try and creep 2 or 3 days out. I'm not a big, from my perspective, a 7-day creeper. I know some people are. And honestly, we creep with 50 mg because that's what we wean on. And I've seen great results doing it, creeping with 50 mg at day 2 to 3 before we wean, and then transition them to that. Everyone has a different path of how they do it. If we're going to wean at 21 days, that's where we need to be. I think if you're going to wean earlier than that, you need to have a different plan. But I think standard in the industry would be 21 days.
Yeah, 21 days is a goal, and I wish we could hit 21 days. But pig flow and getting sows into crates and getting them out of crates, sometimes that doesn't happen. But we do the same thing with 50 mg or Show Pig starter. You can use pre-starters. There's different things on the market for those things, but we're going to put them on 50 mg when we wean them. And so 3 to 5 days pre-weaning date, we'll just start throwing a half a cup on the mat and getting them used to that. They start so much faster, so much better when we get that Show Pig starter in them before we wean them.
I think it's maybe as we conclude here, a lot of people ask about environment, right? So obviously there's a lot of different building setups. There's huts. There's all kinds of things where you can farrow sows. The key, in my opinion, is warm, clean, and dry. You can make a lot of different situations work and have a very positive farrowing experience as long as your sow can cooperate with you. But I think the key is clean, dry, warm.
100%. You cover those bases, you're at least starting on the path to success. Reach out to any Show-Rite specialist if you have any more questions about this. And as always, give us a follow on all social media platforms for more tips from the feed room.